I'm gonna tell you why. I know this. I built a chapel at my property. When Alice and Sutter was mayor, I asked if I could put it where people go.
Are you here for planning and zoning or another meeting?
Where people go come
No,
visit.
for planning.
She told me I had to have handicap
You guys
parking.
have the daycare on
And I
this
had
one?
We
bathrooms
do.
for handicapped
We
people.
do. How are you? Good. Oh, and he may want
I
you to
just
sit
signed
in,
off
huh?
to that.
Does just double check.
I don't have.
Well, no, we'll get to this.
You can grab an agenda.
She's not gonna do it.
Shows the daycare.
She may say she's
And then, are you
gonna do
gonna
it,
be
she's
speaking
not gonna do
publicly
it
or are you
for
just
anybody.
spectating?
Yes.
That's just
I
between
guess I
you
don't
and
really
me.
know, do they need people to speak publicly on their behalf?
So I went ahead and okayed it with everybody else.
I don't.
But this thing about,
Sorry. I was asking her which one, if she was just gonna be spectating or speaking.
It's gonna be a general about anything
About the daycare. She said.
for them. That's for the public speaking.
Okay. Well.
Not the public speaking, rather she's party and the public hearing.
So which one? Just the regular sign sheet? Or the public
Not the
sign?
regular sign sheet.
Okay. Sorry. I just saw.
Yes, sorry.
So
So I think this would be best when she
Why don't
comes
you
back.
take one?
She will come back. If she needs to put a park or anything, she has to come back. When she comes back, then we can address these things.
that's when you're gonna come down on her, okay?
Right.
The worst thing is, she has no parking. The parking is in front of the church.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only parking that's
The
available.
speed limit there is 75 miles an hour.
Oh, it's not, it's only 5.
And you know, we approved it. So what if, you know what the deep pocket syndrome is?
Mm.
Where they sue for anything.
Oh,
thank you.
We approved it. Guess who gets sued? The approvers.
yeah. So, did the gate come back to last meeting that I was gone?
approved.
Okay. So, well, let me remember.
We're gonna approve it in the minutes tonight.
The action, whatever, the
Yeah.
final action, okay. Cause see, I was trying to look at my notes, cause I was looking at the one to see what she had mentioned.
I don't think it's saying to approve a park there anyway. Since I own the property in front of it.
So,
Well-
oh yeah, you are.
Oh,
Mohammed, did, Sanjay get a hold of you? He was not clear whether or not you were gonna bring up the master plan or he should be prepared to do it.
We can bring it. That's what
Yes.
on the last slide. We can bring it.
Yes.
Hang on just a second.
No. Hey, it switched to iPad.
Hey, hey,
For the Zoom call.
Okay.
So
am I wrong?
I
Am I,
just
was I messed up?
was giving you a message.
Get out.
to-
And?
And this meeting.
I texted
Okay, so wait,
So let me add it.
go ahead. Let's jump in the gun.
No, that's
I
it.
texted that to you, but I couldn't reach it. Well, yeah, it's at City Hall, it's really simple. Okay. Okay, bye.
Okay. Sorry.
So, let's try again. Testing. Alright, I don't hear any feedback, so.
Is that better?
It seems to be okay.
Next.
How are you? Oh, good. I've been home, I'm released, but I have to be masked, and it's been too much fun. I'm just gonna, I'll just leave it at that.
2 weeks before if you're gonna be speaking publicly, you should just.
That's me. I came back.
Just if you're spectating, this one is if you're speaking.
That's all right.
Hold it, Justin.
You did? Or you did. I saw you parking over there. I said, what's going on? What are we?
Recording in progress.
Yeah. Yeah, did you see that? I tested negative. And then I did 2
Am I
major
good?
checks.
Am I good?
My doctor, all the nurse. He had to take my temperature. Oh, did you? My sister just, I see her next Tuesday. We're talking to Friday.
Is this what the NS program?
He was out there.
Yeah, my sister just called me, she just got it. But they're saying that they're saying they're gonna start. They're not gonna mount it.
Just,
I saw that.
Everything's working fine.
Where's that?
I'm still doing
They're saying that
The only thing I have to do is if I see somebody that's raising their hand, that's joining.
Yes.
Oh, so we do have.
Antonio.
But you guys will unmute them or.
Yes, mute him. No.
Adrian, I'm here. I just admitted it. And I did see video chat.
Thank you. I'm the same, I'm just on mass court. Mass court,
So if you're speaking, you have to sign on, but it says public
This is for public speaking.
We're almost there. Well, I just
How are you doing?
Mohammed, did you guys want more chairs? More
I have to read my notes. I'll be back. Where did you guys go to school? Oh, sorry, my my daughter. Yes.
We're getting some folks signed in here. Welcome. Staff, are you all you're good to go? Okay. Commissioners, you guys are okay? Okay. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and call this meeting officially to order. If I can have the staff do a roll call to make sure we have a quorum, which it looks like we do.
I think we best to mention the time when you started.
Oh, yes. It is 6:03 p.m. Thank you, Mohammed.
Commissioner Chairs.
Present.
Commissioner Chavez. Present. Commissioner Martinez.
Present.
Commissioner Trujillo. Commissioner Salazar.
Present.
Commissioner Glenn. Present. And Commissioner Brego is not here. Madam Vice Chair, we have quorum.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hussain. So we'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Commissioner again to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So, real quick, before I move on to the approval of agenda, I did want to recognize a couple folks we have in the audience tonight. We've got a couple high school interns that are working with the Planning and Zoning Department, and I think they're in the room back there. Don't be shy. We've got Brandy Goodalin, Unica May, and Rhiannon Romero. So you guys Thank you. It's always great to see our youth participate in local government internships, because you all get to see all the hard work that these staff in local government do. So it's always nice to see that. So thank you, staff, for letting us recognize them. So the next item we have on the approval of agenda. Do I hear a motion? I did want to make a note that we did have an adjustment to something that was on your packet. So just so you all are aware, we have the minutes being pushed to the next meeting. So that is what is before you. So if I have a motion, or unless there's any discussion or items to pull.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion made by?
Motion made by Commissioner Gwen and seconded by Commissioner Salazar.
Thank you, and Commissioner Ortiz,
Yes, in favor.
and Commissioner Chavez,
In favor.
Commissioner Martinez,
In favor?
Commissioner Salazar,
In favor.
Commissioner Quinn.
In favor.
That agenda is passed.
Alright,
Thank you.
everybody good?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll move on to our next item, which is public comments and business from visitors. I don't believe, do we have anybody, on the list for general public comment? And I don't see anybody on the Zoom meeting asking for public comments.
I do not think we do.
I think that's the list. Is that the public
So-
list?
No.
This is the-
Oh, okay, yeah, we have some different, we have public comment for the actual hearing and then public comment like in general, I guess.
That's correct.
So, okay, hearing them, we'll move on. Next item is items tabled from prior meeting. I don't believe we have any items, I'll confirm with staff. At this point, we'll move on to the next item. Items for consideration, new business, so this is our item that is a public hearing, and this will follow a pretty strict outline here, so I'll kind of go through the procedures here. So the following cases are judicial, quasi-judicial in nature, and this hearing will be conducted under provisions required by the New Mexico Court of Appeals. This includes the identification of parties and the swearing in of all of those who wish to provide testimony. The opportunity of cross-examination to ask questions will be provided to all parties. So at this time, I'll go ahead and open up the hearing. It is 6:07. This is for hearing of item 2022-12, special use permit, Marcy Davis of Creative Kids Childcare. She is the applicant who is requesting renewal of a special use permit to operate an existing childcare center located at 241 North Paseo de Oñate, to property currently addressed as 1318 South Riverside Drive. So before we get started, I do need to ask my fellow commissioners if there's anyone who has a conflict of interest or has had ex parte communications related to this case, and if so, we'll proceed with that next step. Hearing none, okay. So next, is there, let's see. Identify and swear the parties, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, do we have, parties in the room that are going to give testimony for tonight's public hearing? Okay, I see a couple people raising their hands. So at this time, should I go ahead and do
Yes,
the
Mr.
the
Staff.
presenter first? Okay,
Yes.
presenter first, okay. So if I can have each of you that are going to give testimony, please, stand, and then you're going to, see. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth?
They have to raise their hand.
Raise your right hand, thank you. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I got a question. So is this testimony, are we raising our hand for the public hearing, or if we're part of the actual appellants of the case?
Remind me.
I think this is for everyone who wish to speak
So
for
everyone
this
that
public
wishes to
hearing.
speak?
Yes.
Okay, just wanna make sure.
For or against.
Either, yeah, if testimony in
general.
either direction,
Perfect.
So anyone who's gonna speak for the creative
Yes.
daycare,
For or against.
stand up and take
Yeah. Okay, alright, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth?
Yes.
Yes. Alright,
That's it.
and that's it, thank you. Thank you, sir, we've got a lot of legalese stuff we've gotta cover here. So then at this point, Mohammed, remind me, are we going to go ahead and have staff present?
So I was straight, I need to be.
Oh, yes, okay. So I'll do the next, swearing in with staff. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, okay. So now at this point, I think I will turn the floor over to Mr. Hussein, who will be giving us a presentation from staff.
Just trying to bring up the presentation on the screen. Good evening, Madam Vice Chair and Honorable Planning Commission members. In front of you is the special use permit renewal. The Marcy Davis operates a Creative Kids Childcare. Applicant requests the renewal of a special use permit to operate the daycare center, which is currently now addressed as 1318 South Riverside Drive. The property is located in General Commercial District B2. To fulfill the notice requirements, the publication for this public hearing was published in Rio Grande Sun on June 30th. Public notice posters were also posted on the property 15 days prior, and 10 property owners located within 200 feet of the vicinity of this childcare daycare center were also notified of this public hearing. I will start with the city with some statistics that in 2018 American Community Survey estimates about 9.3% of the estimated population is under 5 years of the age, and that's over 900 people, and that increased from 2010, and the census data it's about, so we're over 900 people. And since we are the heart of northern New Mexico, we're the city where there are some grandparents raising their grandkids. We have this is one of the centers that serve the community needs. And the applicant used to operate, just to give you some background on this, used to operate a child care center or daycare center at 241 North Paseo de Enate, and last year in July they applied to move to the North Riverside Drive. The proposed development consists of 3 classrooms and serves almost 25 to 50 kids, and the property lies along the Riverside District Commercial Avenue.
Mr. Hussein, can I explain? We have 2 documents in the planning and zoning. We're looking at the second document.
Yes, for the record, I also attached the last year decision so that you can have the perspective, the background of what was approved last year, and to analyze the case effectively and efficiently. Well, I had a conversation, and you can have look at all the conditions, and most of the conditions were fulfilled. About the condition about the state fire marshal, condition about the lighting, condition of having the license from the CYFD, and all other requirements to operate a legal childcare center. Some of the things that are under review were that I had a conversation with the applicant, and she'll be able to explain that. I think there was some staff change at NMDOT Region 5, so she didn't hear from some of the people about this intersection. That was also one of the suggestions, the subject that they can cross Riverside and westbound commercial development. And one thing I also wanted to mention was the landscaping. They have done some landscaping, but we will work with them to complete that landscaping, and one of the disabled parking that needs to be closer to the ramp. Other than that, we do not find any issues. And development review team didn't find any issues with this development. So with this, I would request the planning commission to approve this case and give them 5 years of this special use permit. That's normally what we give. The permit is for 5 years, but because of certain reasons, the previous planning commission last year gave them just for 1 year. So they can come back and fulfill those requirements. So with that, I stand here for any questions.
Okay, thank you. So are there any commissioners that have questions for staff at this time? Commissioner Salazar.
This is a very good document that was put together. It has a lot of information in there that you address some of the conditions that's in there. But there's one issue that's going on, and it's been happening a lot in across the country. You know, I have an issue with, you know, things that have been happening in the schools, you know, where people have gone in with automatic weapons and killed children. And one of the things that I did not see addressed in here is safety of the building and staff training, how to deal with an issue, something, God forbid, ever happens, okay? But is the staff trained in an issue like this, or doors kept closed?
So, well, I guess this is really questions for staff, this
Okay.
presentation, right? But we will have an opportunity to question the applicant.
But was that brought up with the DRT group, or did the police department address that issue?
So that wasn't addressed at the DRP because that's something comes under. We can design a physical developments for the security and safety, but safety itself and the training, that I believe that I would assume should be and would be operated and advised by a certain agency that you get to have a license from operate the child care center. That's what could be CYFD or some other related agencies.
They do have a document in there, Mr. Hussain, which was the Homeland Security. They addressed, you know, issues with fire, but I did not see anything addressing this particular issue.
Commissioner Salazar, was there any other questions? Or?
That's my question.
Okay. Anything further, or I'll give the floor to Commissioner Gwen?
I'll pass on that. I think I've asked the question. All I'm asking is why it was not addressed in the
So initially, so this is what we're looking for here. Is it reflects what was approved last year, and we didn't see a major change from last year to this year. So we didn't include the DRW team and the police department in this. So that's why this may have not come on this. We specifically bring the police department if they're really needed, and I think it would have been best to bring the police department here. But mostly what the planning department deals with is the design for the security and the safety. But if there's a training of the people and training of the staff, that I think we can suggest, but we cannot mandate because that comes under the training and for the requirement for the licensing.
So Commissioner Salazar, I think we'll have an opportunity to ask the applicant more details on security.
Okay.
Right.
I'll go with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gwen.
It was just a comment and you answered. It's not a requirement.
Yes.
Any other questions for staff? No. Let me just double check. I think most of what I was gonna ask you have covered, but let me just bear with me real quick. License. The one question I did have, but you sort of touched on it, was regarding the access, that was kind of, not in limbo, but I don't think it's formalized. Did staff get any other updates on the NMDOT other than what you kind of mentioned?
I have not received any information, but I do have shared the new updated information, the contact information of
Okay,
NMDOT Region 5. And
okay,
they do have an access on this, they have to submit a paperwork that it was legal. So I think that NMDOT should have it, if not, they can get it approved through NMDOT Region 5.
okay. So I think that was pretty much everything else you've pretty much touched in your comments. So at this point, I guess, is the applicant in the room?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. It says here applicant questions staff, so, does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay, did you have any questions of staff?
No, I don't have any questions.
Neighboring property owners who received no notice. Do any property owners that received notice have questions for staff at this time? If you could please stand up and state your name for the record.
My name is Dr. Francisco Romero, and I live next door. I'm
Okay,
one of the neighbors, and I'd like to ask a few questions, please. I noticed that some of the requirements that were previously made have been fulfilled in a very, very basic sense. In other words, our biggest concern, and we'd like to welcome the enterprise, the daycare center to our community. We think that would be a viable thing, and I would encourage them. But our biggest concern is, number one, water. Where's it going to come from, and why is the city giving away our water? We all have rural residential wells that we have dug at our own expense, and they're being depleted. Our aquifer is basically being depleted by overuse. There's been changes in the water quality, the sedimentation, the need for digging deeper, redoing the wells. The water report that I had a chance to review basically did state that there's water. The pH is 7.4. Pretty normal water. I mean, there is water, but how long is that water going to last? My parents, who do live next door, have run out of water. They've had instances where they've already had to redig the well. The water quality is getting worse. The people next door or across the street, their well went dry. And I am asking the city, what are you doing to provide the services that were promised to us when we agreed to the annexation? The city had promised us utilities, they promised us water, they promised us sewer, they promised all these good things, and that was, how long ago, 20 years ago? It's been a long time. I see no action in that regard to actually address those very fundamental issues. At this point, you are here ready to give away the water that we need without providing a remediation for that or another alternative source. Now, as I say, we welcome the enterprise in the area. I think they'd be good neighbors. The biggest problem that we all have, and they too will later, if they run out of water, is where's this water going to come from? Are you commissioners going to provide a little water buffalo to come and bring us water? I don't think so. But there are other things that I'd like to explore in this particular area. That is the number one concern. There are others. And I will, if he'll give me a little bit of time, I will go into those.
so I'll go ahead and let staff address, what was
Yes, that's a good idea. I'll sit
provided
down.
in the packet as in relation to the water and the water plan for this particular, item.
Commissioner Ortiz and the members of the commission, Dr. Romero, when this particular case was discussed in the development review team, that includes the water, the wastewater, fire department, street department, and utilities department as a whole, including the NMDOT, that's the Region 5 engineer, to address the issues and analyze this case. When it was discussed, so according to the City of Espanola Utilities Ordinance, Chapter 300, it says anything that is within 300 feet of the vicinity of the city can be connected to the water and wastewater infrastructure. So I think they were connected on that regards. They were connected on that regards, on this, the water that they have. I think the water, as our water department said, they don't have any issues with it, because that's we feel. And there could be any other, if they will be treated as any other child care center or daycare center that comes to the city. Because that's the closest proximity to the city, and they provide service to the residents of the city. And most of the children that come to this child care are the residents of the city. So these we're not giving away, rather we're serving our kids of our community and our valley and our city.
Well, I didn't come here to debate or to issue a claim of negligence on the part of anyone. All I know is that we have been neglected. And there is no plan that I know of to actually put it in place. There are studies, there are people who have been told about this, they've been told about this 20 years ago. There's a lot of talk, but no action. There are facilities nearby. There is a water line that hasn't been used since it was implemented and at a tremendous cost to the state or to someone. Put in a water line right along 285, and it still hasn't been pressurized. Where's the water going to come from? That's beyond my pay grade. The Arroyo Seco area does have water from another member association that apparently serves the Sombrillo area, which is we're a part of.
Right.
But the Sombrillo area is basically a rural area, and we're a part of the city. So we're depending on the city, and the city is now allowing, and you know, they bought the place and it had water, but it had water for rural residential use. It's always been that way, and now we're going to have even more use. We don't know how much more use.
Right.
We expect a lot more. We expect a lot more sewage. We expect a lot of these things, and these are our concerns.
What?
And as a resident of this area, and as a good neighbor to these fine folks, we'd like to make sure that they are not impacted by our same concerns.
Right.
So-
And we hear your concerns, and I mean, globally, water use it's a big issue that obviously is always on our topic. This commission has decided to do work session meetings where we kind of delve into bigger general topics such as, you know, long-term water, land type use. So that's a perfect opportunity to kind of bring these kind of comments and items. But for purposes of this particular hearing, if we could bring it back to the use here at this particular item, correct? I think let's stick to the public hearing we have right now. But I do want to thank you for your comments, and I think we can talk with our staff to get maybe water issue as one of the topics on the future work session to set as a discussion topic.
Well, I appreciate
But I
your
appreciate
attempt to
your
assuage my fears. I'm afraid you haven't done a very good job. And I just have to say that because, as I say, you're not the first person to say this. I've been attending these meetings for a while now, and you know, in the past, the past commission couldn't even get together to approve the minutes of the
Right.
previous meeting.
And I will tell you, we are all we're on a new board. We're all fresh.
Well, thank you for that.
So we are very engaged. We're very active. We're very interested in kind of keeping things moving. So trust that we'll work on getting some topics on a global.
And if you would contact me with whatever it is that you're doing,
Yes, if
we'd
you
like to
if
stay
you would
abreast of all
please
of
leave
that.
your
My
contact
information is there. And I have other comments when
Okay.
other folks will.
So at this time, we're still on neighboring property owners who received notice asking questions of staff. Are there any other people, neighbors that want questions
For the staff.
for staff?
I'm sorry to be the only person here to basically raise my hand, but in behalf of the other folks that, my neighbors, you know, we did get a certified letter that was, that informed us of this meeting, that was basically given to us with the wrong date, previous month. So a lot of these folks, on top of this topic, and they did not know there was a meeting tonight, although it was published in the paper and they were sent a second notice, but sometimes they couldn't come because it was just actually a 2-day situation for them. So there are other folks that I'm sure would like to be here that could not be here because it was thrust upon them overnight. 2 days is not enough. So from that perspective, I almost would like to say, postpone it another month. Let's organize, make sure everybody can come.
So I'll go ahead and give Mr. Hussein an opportunity to respond if.
Yes, that is correct. I think one of our staff members put the wrong date on it, but the next day we sent another letter to comply with that, and we were still in the timeline that we were in. And there were 3 factors of consideration. Rio Grande Sun, online source, put a notice on the property itself that is visible on one of the busiest streets of our city. And then we sent a second letter to when I was informed that the
date was wrong.
The date was wrong, and we sent another letter the next day that it reached there, and that's why these meetings are often words. And if somebody cannot come, they can join the Zoom meeting from home.
Okay. So it sounds like from the perspective of staff and checking with all of the requirements, the public notice requirements were met.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from property owners who received notice for staff? All right. At this time, we'll thank you, staff, for unless you have anything further. Okay. At this point, we'll go ahead and ask the applicant. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have questions for staff?
I have a couple of questions for the applicant.
Okay, that's the next section.
I was there today and I talked to the young lady.
Commissioner Martinez, yeah. Let us get the applicant up and then we'll jump to questions for the applicant. Yep. So at this time, we'll go ahead and have the applicant prepare for a presentation. And then if you could just please, I know you're noted on the agenda, you could please state your name for the record and for those that are joining us on Zoom tonight.
Sure. My name is Marcy Davis, and I'm the co-owner and director of Creative Kids Child Care Center. And I wanted to first thank you for taking the time, and thank you to all my parents that showed up tonight. I appreciate that, to show your support. Can you raise your hand if you came in support, even if you're not speaking? Thank you. I appreciate you guys all coming. So Creative Kids Child Care Center opened in 2006, and it's owned and operated by 2 teachers, myself and my business partner who teaches at Espanola High School. We've served over 800 children in the time since we've opened, and we're licensed by the state of New Mexico. We're a 5-star nationally accredited child care center. We purchased this property in May of 2021 in order to move our child care center that had been here for 15 years on the west side. We've been renting there. Last July, we came before the Planning and Zoning Commission because, according to Espanola Municipal Code, child care centers must obtain a special use permit, unlike some other businesses. Espanola Municipal Code, Article 5, Section 611, has 7 applicable standards listed that must be met, as I'm sure you've seen. And I have some copies of those as well, but I'm sure you've got those. Those are the standards that specifically state what a child care center would need to do. It looks like this is a whole entirely new Planning and Zoning Commission, and we also have a new planning director officially. The last director quit the day after our last hearing. Without belaboring you with all the details, let me just say that the process of receiving a special use permit from the city of Espanola to continue doing business has been arduous, to say the least. Child care centers are heavily regulated, as they should be. We have to receive permission to pursue licensure from the local authority, the planning and zoning, before we can even begin the process of opening. We must then receive permission from the environment department, the fire marshal, construction industries, and finally, childcare licensing, which we refer to as CYFD if we're older, but they recently called ECECD, just to make it more alphabet soup there. But as you can see, there are multiple entities that all look very specifically at different aspects of the business and the environment before we're allowed to open. The requirements of the Espanola Municipal Code are pretty straightforward and basic regarding parking, fencing, recreational hours, hours of outdoor activity so that we don't disturb neighbors with our kiddos playing. The city also requires that we receive a license from ECECD and that we receive a city business license. The role of the Espanola Planning and Zoning Commission is to ensure adherence to the Espanola Code only. Parking, lighting, fencing from neighbors, multiple other agencies that a child care center must comply with are experts in their areas, and it's up to them to determine the safety of the building, educational, environment, and to make sure that all the nuances of their very detailed regulations are met and adhered to. The Planning and Zoning Commission then may issue a special use permit that can be up to 5 years, at which point we have to renew it every 5 years or whatever time frame the Planning and Zoning gives. I come before you today because we were granted, I believe, a 1-year special use permit, and there were several stipulations that were put forth on us that we needed to meet. We're now reapplying to renew our special use permit, and we're asking for, hopefully, a 5-year permit. I say I believe that we received a 1-year permit because as of today, I have still not received a special use permit or a finalized signed decision from a year ago or even approved minutes from a meeting from a year ago. Everything I've received or found has been draft. I was given a 5-hour audio of the last meeting that I had to then take, embarrassingly enough, to ECECD and say, this is my approval from my local authority. But we're here today, and I'm proud to tell you that we are fully licensed, and we've passed all inspections, environmental, construction industries, fire marshal, and of course ECECD. In fact, we just completed a nationally recognized reaccreditation, which is above and beyond what ECECD requires. This is a process that usually takes several years. We did it in 3 months, and we had 0 findings. I'm saying this not to brag, but I want to tell you the professionalism and the caliber of childcare that we're providing. We're excited to be in our new facility and to be able to continue the work we've been doing. As you know, and as Mr. Hussain said, our city is in great need of childcare, and that was really evidenced during the pandemic. We hope to be able to expand in the future, especially for our infants and toddlers. And I stand for any questions that the staff or commission may have for me. Thank you.
All right, so at this point, I'll go ahead and ask if any commissioners have questions for the applicant. And Commissioner Martinez, I believe you have some questions. You have the floor.
My name is Juan D. Martinez. I've been a resident of Espanola since 1960. And I personally welcome anything that's good for the city. I was at your place today, and I'll talk to this young lady over there. And she asked me if I was looking for anything specific. I told her it was general, but the specifics of my search was the safety of the children, just like it isn't anything else. The first thing that I noticed, and I know that from the work that has been presented to me from the city, you don't have handicap parking for a van. You don't have handicap parking close to where the handicap walkway is to enter the building. I don't know how many handicap parkings you have to have there, but the one that you do have is at the end of the building closer to the highway. And it's my understanding from her that you're working on it. So, I'd like to see when it's gonna get done. It doesn't take very much to do the paint, to help the people that are handicapped to be able to go into your building. We have to consider them very special. They go to your place, they wanna see your place, they wanna visit your children, whatever. You have to have a place for them to park. You don't have it.
You want me to address that right away, sir? Go ahead. So regarding the handicap parking, the ramp to the door is not our handicap parking. That is why it's painted white, not blue. That ramp does not meet handicap specifications. This is our handicap parking space. This was designed, approved by Construction Industries, and then further designed by Canova Engineering, who also went through that. It was placed there after being inspected by Construction Industries and by the engineer for maximum access to the building itself. The ramp at the front, maybe in years past, when handicap was first put out, they just put ramps in. The grade is not correct there, and so it's too steep to meet those handicap requirements in the front. So that is a loading ramp in which we bring in supplies.
Are you gonna change the parking spot from where you have it to be closer to the ramp?
No, sir.
So the ramp isn't ADA compliant. The ramp is not ADA compliant. The parking space where they have the entrance for your handicap is there in the other door, correct?
Yes. Yes, sir. And then I'll also attach this is just from the engineer.
Yeah, I think they are that copy.
So they have a separate entrance for handicap, JD?
Yes.
How far away from the entrance door is the handicap ramp, for the handicap parking? How far away from it?
If you're on the handicap ramp, the door is maybe 4 feet.
No,
That's
Yes,
not
sir.
where the ramp is, Ross.
yeah.
The ramp is
This picture here, the highway's right here. The entrance to the building is over here.
So I think that what they're saying, this could be this is where they enter.
Are they gonna have a door there?
And then
Can they go into that door?
Yes, sir. There's a door and it's level so that they can get to every part of that building through that door.
Did you show that to me?
Yeah, what we walked through there, I'm sorry, I did
I asked
not.
you to walk through there, I asked you if you showed it to me. You didn't, I didn't see it.
Yeah, no, I didn't go directly to it, but it's there. Yeah.
Question number 2.
Yes, sir.
I went into your playground. The fence around the playground is how tall is it?
I believe that it's 6.5 feet.
It's not 6.5 feet, it's about 5 feet 10.
Okay.
That's what I measured.
We have a foot of sand.
Why is your fence made out of roofing material that is galvanized tin, and on the top is cut? She told me that the children were small and they couldn't climb up there. It was my concern. My concern is the safety of the children.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't care whose children. They're all mine. Tonight, they're all my children. The galvanized tin is very expensive. You put a very expensive fence up there. But if a child gets up there on top of that thing and tries to climb over, they're gonna get hurt. And she tells me they can't do that. On the eastern side of that playground, were a couple of things that look like a plastic stove or something like that, where a child could climb on top of that and they try to get over the fence. To try to get over the fence right there would only be about this part. It's possible that a child could climb on top of that and climb over. I've had 3 of my children and they're capable of doing anything. I had to revive one of my sons at home because he swallowed a penny that he found in the swimming pool that belonged to the city. If you can swallow a penny that belonged to the city, there's a lot of things they can do. I would recommend to the city that you put some type of rubber issue on top so the child can't get hurt if they try to climb over, or change the fencing.
Did you want to respond?
Sure, I can respond to that. Yes, sir, that fencing was part of our original, that we worked with planning and zoning and with the director on choosing that fencing. We chose that fencing specifically for security. As you know, we have a drug treatment facility called Darren's Place in this town, and they have the almost exact same fence, but theirs is a thicker gauge of metal. That's to keep adult-sized people who are undergoing drug and alcohol treatment from climbing out. And I believe it has worked so far. And so we have a similar fencing system, and it is much, much taller than the height of any of children or adults that we have there.
Not taller than I am. Okay, last question. And I have to ask the city about this. The playground is made out of sand. Do the children go out with their shoes on? Do they take their shoes off when they're on the playground? And what goes on? When they get back into the building, do they shake their shoes off of the sand that they collected in their shoes?
Do you want me to?
I want an answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They wear shoes outside. We don't allow them to be barefoot. Sand is an approved solid grade medium for the structures, the height of the structures, and we have a foot of sand out there. Some sand does get into the center from time to time. Yes.
It looks like cement sand to me. That's what it is. So is that legal? Is it?
Yes.
Okay. No more questions.
Okay, are there any other commissioners that have questions for the applicant? Nope.
Again, my question is again, the safety of the children.
Yes, sir.
Our
So
entrances,
Commissioner Saul, Brendan, Commissioner Chavez.
the gates are locked. Are
The
they?
entrances are, is that what you said, sir?
Yes, to the daycare. Are they locked? The staff know what to do in case of an emergency. Because your vocational place from the police departments here in the community, where you're on this side, your place is quite a distance
Yes.
away. Probably the closest police presence that could be there, maybe either the walkie police or the non-police. That would probably, but my concern, like Commissioner Martinez, those are my children too. I got 2 grandchildren, I love dearly. And, they, I want them to be safe.
Yes.
My oldest grandson has already been trained in school and what they have to do in case of such a situation. Where to hide, what to do, where they go, is there a safety route for them? And that this is occurring, Uvalde, let's bring that up. That's a small community, we're a small community too. That's my concern.
Yes, sir. And that, as a teacher, I think is everyone's worst fear, as far as that goes. While we do not have any specific regulations that we have to meet regarding shooter safety specifically, our front door is only accessible through keypad and codes that each parent or staff member has that's individualized to them. All of the other doors are kept locked at all times. They do have the panic bars to be able to get out so that they're not locked or chained, which has happened, I know, in some schools, from the inside. And we do shelter in place. Sorry, if I can ask my co-director, is it once?
And once every 3 months.
Once every 3 months, we do a full shelter in place drill, and then of course, once monthly, we do a regular fire drill. We also have to have evacuation plans for things like if there was a gas leak, where we would need to evacuate further from the building, or the shelter in place is also for if there was something going on outside in the community that we needed to shelter from. And yes, sir, we do have interior rooms that are able to be closed off. Child care centers are a little different than schools because they're a little more open once you're inside. Just the nature of how they're set up. It's not a small room for each one.
Any further questions, Commissioner Salazar? No? Alright. Commissioner Chavez.
Basically, you answered my question with Mr. Salazar. But, you know, it was regarding the doors, the locks on the doors and so on. I commend your business because I used your services with my 2 kids long ago, and it was amazing. Tell me a little bit about the playground. What do they have out there to play on, Sam was referring to?
So what you won't see is large structures at a daycare just because of the fall zone that would happen. So they do have slides, crawling structures. We're allowed to have swings. We've chosen not to just because of the number of injuries that happen, especially with children at this age. They have things for imaginary play. Mr. Martinez had observed like a cooking station, you know, where they would be able to do domestic play and things like that outdoors. Anything that would be for gross motor skills. And then, yes, we have a lot of sand. So there's a lot for digging, building, things like that. Those are the materials that are in the playground currently.
Any further questions, Commissioner Chavez? No.
I just have a comment.
Commissioner,
I just want to commend you for doing this in the Valley. I know it's hard to go through all of the licensing and everything that you need, but my comment is that maybe you can form an alliance with maybe the school that's close to you. All the schools currently have security guards on staff. Maybe if you formed an alliance, if you had some type of emergency, they could refer the security guard out to you.
Yes.
I think that the schools are looking at different options for more security, maybe policing and things like that, and maybe
Even at their own issues.
you could form the alliance with the current superintendent, and maybe they would, you know, maybe add you because you're servicing the kids of the SPL public schools as well.
I'll definitely look into that. Thank you.
I have one
oh, yes, Commissioner Sullivan.
Okay, my last question is, in the DRT review, I guess it was Hannah's Co-op was talking about having electrical or play material under electrical lines, so is that an address? We're concerned about transformers and stuff, is that?
There are no overhead lines in the playground area. I don't have the site map in front of me, but if you pull that up where the survey is, there are easements for HEMIS, but that's on the map of directions. On the road, what direction is that? The west side, all the way down. I'm sorry, it's embarrassing.
I don't know what's.
And that was actually the one last question I had in my mind, but Commissioner Salazar just pointed it out.
You're looking at this one?
You know what, if you pull up the survey looking at it,
Survey.
I think you had,
Okay, the drawing, okay.
Surveys have
The comment was that there's a transformer within the fencing in the playground, and they're asking you to not fence in the transformer.
Oh, we did not.
Okay.
We did not, and there's an executive further down, so we had to make sure that we had that somewhere.
I went by there today, so I didn't notice that. I'm not as nosy as Mr. Martinez.
Well, it's good to come by and see your
Okay.
buildings.
I wish they would give us an identification badge, because I don't want to just show up, who's this dirty old man?
So at this point, I'll go ahead and, it doesn't look like any other commissioners have questions, correct? So staff has an opportunity to ask the applicant questions. Do you have any questions for the applicant at this time?
I don't think I have a question, but yeah, we'll address the things that Annie will working on. So just want to thank you for the time.
Okay. And the next item, so any neighboring property owners who receive notice, if they have a question regarding the specific public hearing item for the applicant at this time.
I do.
Yes, sir. If you could please stand and state your name for the record.
My name is Jerome Romero. I'm a neighbor. I have another safety issue that I don't know, anybody hasn't brought up yet. But that area is a very dangerous area as far as the traffic and the speeding that goes on in that stretch of property. So is there going to be any speed limit zones like school crossing, or not crossing because you don't cross that road? But there needs to be some sort of speed implementation there. Because I've seen people go 100 miles an hour through there. I'm not kidding, numerous accidents. If you just look up the amounts of accidents that are in that intersection, there's a bunch.
Thank you,
So-
Ms. Davis, did you wanna, address that question regarding some of the,
Do you want me to address that one
Action.
first, or?
Well, if it's, I would say that would be a city issue, would it
it
not?
is, well,
Well, I think Mr. Hussein addressed that earlier when he
With
said that
the
the
DOT,
DOT had transferred people and so it's
It's
on the
under
DOT
review.
and it's under review, yeah.
Okay, I have another one, there's a community ditch that runs adjacent to that property. In fact, not too far away from the daycare. When those kids get loose and it gets in that ditch, there's gonna be a problem. That could lead up to very serious consequences. So something needs to be done there or something before that happens.
so Ms. Davis, would you
Yes.
mind addressing some of the security? I know you went through a lot of compliance checks with other agencies, like the alphabet soup you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
What were any of those specific concerns addressed by those agencies that come in specifically to look at your location for children?
That was part of the decision that was made and suggested for a fence that had no slats and was not chain link, nothing that would be climbable. Fencing was put in first, then a foot of sand so that no one's tunneling under it as well. For that very reason, because the acequia does run behind and then across where the RV park is further down and to two neighbors there as well. The entire acequia is not fenced all the way through all properties, though.
But your playground specifically is fenced.
Yes.
So there's no way that a child could get out, climb over, whatever, because you have staff enough to watch the children.
Yes, and supervision, yes, that would be the most important.
So real quick, just for the dictation, they need to know who's speaking. That's okay. So I'm sorry, what was that, Ms. Davis? Did you have anything further? Were there any other agencies that specifically looked at the facility with those security measures?
No, the fencing was mostly looked at by ECECD,
Okay,
and then our suggestion of the fencing to the staff here for the type of fencing as well.
okay. Sir, did you have any other questions or at this
No.
time?
I don't.
Okay, it looks like you have some more questions for the applicant.
I do, and I think it's an administrative thing, I just wanted to point out one thing here, on this map. If you would look right over here where the acequia is noted right here, where Jerome basically said, right, the pointer? Yeah, the acequia runs right along this way, right here, goes up to that area right above it, right above it, right there. Let me borrow that then.
Yeah.
I'll show you very fast. But I think it would be wise to put a fence along that, because what happens, I know kids, is basically sometimes when kids are dropped off at the day center, there may be others. Mom says stay here, they may get out, and the acequia is basically an attractive nuisance. It's like a pool. And if some kids want to get in there, see, this is the acequia here, this is a very fast running ditch. Okay, now from here, it's underground, so that's not a problem. But this area right here has a fence that is very porous. It's not even a fence, it's basically just a gate, right? Right here.
Down by the RV park and separating.
No, right here is your salon, and here's the other commercial building, and then there's a fence with a gate, and a big block of cement right there. Well, if the kids are gonna be dropped off over here anywhere, essentially someone could come out and run in and get in the ditch on the road. So I would think that from a safety perspective of your child, as all law, they should basically have some kind of a fence here that would limit the liability of somebody drowning in the area.
Okay, so our fencing, I'll see if I can. So this is our child care center here, drop off is here, entrance here. This area that's kind of triangular is not all playground. So our playground is divided roughly, it leaves this triangular space because of the transformer, because of the acequia here. There are a couple of areas where, like you said, it goes underground. I believe the acequia then goes under the road. And further on, that of course has a grate on the acequia, like a welded, you've seen them.
Lots of water going through.
Yes, there's a good amount of water that goes through there, and this area here does have a somewhat dilapidated fence on that property, yes.
And the fences, you were talking about fences earlier, the landscaping, the fences haven't been repaired for the neighbor on the corner nor part of our property as well. So I assume that's when you get done, correct? The fences are dilapidated and down, they're not even up anymore. So
I don't know at this time,
interesting.
So coming before the Planning and Zoning Committee is specifically for the child care center, specifically for my special use permit.
But these are areas that have to be addressed. And as you're the owner and the owner of both properties, then basically we would expect that some of those things that you talked about earlier, the landscaping and the fencing will be addressed. Thank you.
When I get, yes, so if we do a development plan there, we'll definitely do that. Is this yours, Mr. Hussein?
Okay, are there any other neighboring property owners who would like to, who receive notice would like to question the applicant at this time? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. It says here, general public, anyone who did not receive notice, in the public mail, public notice in the mail. Okay, yes, so if, we could have you please, state your name and address for the record?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, good evening, Honorable Planning and Zoning Commission, Mr. Martinez, Mr. Chavez, Mr. Ortiz, Mr. Nguyen, and Mr. Salazar. My name is Justin Salazar Torres. I am currently, I got to state for the record, a current city councilor here for the city of Española, but just so you know, take it easy, I'm not here on that note, I'm here as a dad. I'm here as a father, you know, I'm dad. And in listening tonight, you know, it sounds just like a city council meeting. but anyway, all jokes set aside. First and foremost, I heard these little babies back here, you know, playing and giggling, and I don't know if y'all have parents, grandparents, whatever it may be, but to me, that is such a beautiful sound to hear kids playing and laughing and even crying because they've gone on their way. But you know, that means they've got air in their lungs, and you know, you've got them. And you know, to hear a commissioner say, well, they're mine too. Well, hey, they're mine too. You know, that's a different story here. And sitting here, I've been, I'm here obviously in favor of this 5-year approval. First and foremost, I wish it was indefinitely, because I don't foresee a child care center having to come before planning and zoning to ask for permission due to trees or, and I was hoping for a point of order, you know, regarding a separate property that has nothing to do with this issue. But anywho, that's for another time. I do know that these individuals, and as a dad, for these concerns, whether it be a road, my kids first started off actually here by the Delta. That's US 84 to 85. That's a busy intersection as well. And you know, I think any parents and grandparents, tias, tios, cousins, you know, because any guardians that are in here, because there's a lot of different individuals in here that serve these kids in many capacities, have concerns regarding an acequia or a road. I wouldn't send my kids to creative kids. Point blank, if that was the main concern, you know, that's not even a concern because of the fencing, because, you know, I don't want individuals looking at my kids while they play. I don't want, you know, I mean, it comes down to a little bit of common sense, and if you're protecting kids, well, hey, you know, we'll come to it. I think, I don't know if you guys are open to this, but the center has an app, and it's called the Dojo app. I haven't gotten to the new app yet because I'm a little old, so it takes me a while to get to the newer technology. But if you look at the kids and all that they do and what they do at that center itself, it would blow your mind. One of the pictures that's on the app itself was my daughter's little cucumber just closed out. They grew cucumbers. Okay?
Oh.
Well, she took them home, and you know it took forever to sprout, but they came home, and well, I killed them. I transplanted them, and I don't got a green thumb. But hey, she learned it at school. Okay, I've seen a lot of parents' heads shake and so forth in here, and I hear the concerns. I hear, you know, I guess the logistics of it. But I think you too, as commissioners, need to know the logistics of it. I need you to know, I need you to be willing to stand before each and every one of these parents, grandparents, tias, tios, primos, whatever guardian position these people are in. If you do not approve this tonight and give this center what they need to function, especially under all the other scrutiny that they get through CYFD, through the state, through everything else, versus, and not to disrespect the board in any which way, but if you're talking about fencing or boards or, you know, painting of a road or a certain parking spot, I need you all to know the consequences that will arise. The consequences that will arise is not very many people are fortunate enough to have grandparents or tias and tios or babysitters to take care of these kids. These individuals are, this center is not just babysitters. This center teaches. My daughter, when she first started, couldn't write an A for nothing. And her name is Alraya, okay? Now, by golly, I see A's everywhere. Now she writes her full name. I've seen A's on my wall. To answer your sand question, Mr. Martinez, I get sand at my house. My kids come home with sand in their shoes like crazy. But hey, they're kids. We take them a shower and you feel the grain in their, hey, Mijita, stop throwing that sand in your hair. What's going on here? They're kids. Back to it again is, I need you guys to understand and realize that if you guys don't do this, you're gonna have, I hope you guys have the resources. I hope you guys are able to tell us, I'll take care of your kid for you while you go to work. I hope you guys are able to do that to each and every individual in this room that's here in support. There's people against for whatever reason, but I need you guys to realize that you guys are willing to step up to the plate, and if you're willing to become babysitters and teachers, especially because our teachers are educators, fully accredited, by the way. Miss Marcy was my teacher in high school. You know, I mean, I'm just saying, and trust me, I was not the best student. But I need you guys to realize the consequences of this. This isn't, you know, again, and I'm speaking from, I guess, city experience, but this isn't approving a strip club or a bar or something. You know, I've heard concerns of water, etc. And I get it. I was talking to some individuals about something totally separate, you know, about it. But these are kids. This is a center for kids, by golly. And if, you know, this is crazy if it doesn't pass unanimously, because I would just be totally dumbfounded. I took a lot of notes while I was sitting there, so just bear with me for 2 seconds. Well, and since you're planning on land use on the flip side, you guys also need to realize that this place, if we have no place to take our kids, well, then we're going to take our money elsewhere as a city. Obviously, I live in the city limits. I'll take my money elsewhere. I'll take my kids. Obviously, they got to go somewhere else. I mean, you have to realize that that's revenues. That's whatever it may be. What was I going with a water issue? See, sorry, my train of thought. Anywho, these individuals are heavily scrutinized already. CYFD, the state. Even the meals that they take home. Picked up my daughter already one time, and I don't know if I have a time limit, sorry.
We try to stick to 3 minutes.
Now you know how I feel.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But anywho, I appreciate you guys. Thank you,
Mr. Salazar Torres.
Thank you all.
Dad.
Have a good night.
Are there any other general public who did not receive public notice in the mail that would like to speak on the matter? Yes, if you could please state your name for the record.
This is called Vaughn. I live maybe a mile away from the center that the one they're talking about. I am here because even if it wasn't Creative Kids, but it was a highly qualified program like theirs, I'd be here talking also. I'm here around 5, 6 highly qualified individuals. Right here, right there, who have worked with children. Mr. Martinez transported children forever. If anybody knows kids, it is him. I went to his house for Halloween to get candies. So I know this. They're a highly qualified group of people. We have 2 million people in New Mexico. Only 1,200 daycare centers. How did they start? believe it or not, in Española, in the early 80s, and we're having all these problems with cocaine, kids, etc. Right? What happened was this Loomis and these Española special ed team got together, started doing child fight clinics. So we got really good at it. Before we knew it, we were being taken all over the country to show other districts how we were doing it. That's how these kind of programs start. And so now there's 1,200 daycare centers in New Mexico with a 90% waiting list. Now in April, the governor came up with $10 million out of the Rescue Act. Well, they want to use this $10 million to start new daycare centers or to expand what there is out there already. The need is heavy. It is extremely heavy. Times have changed. Well, now they want to change the Constitution, an amendment to the Constitution, where we can use the money from the gas and oil industry so that we can come up with $4 billion by 2025 to have universal care. No other state in the country is doing this. Right now, the federal poverty level, when you start looking at incomes, we're looking at $52,000 for 4 children, or a family of 4. We're going to be taking that up to $111,000 for a family of 4. That need is humongous. That in itself talks about what it is. Who am I? I'm just a regular guy. I've been a therapist for the district, worked with this gentleman, with Gwen, excellent. I never got a ride with him, but he gave me candy. But I do know how you transport the kids, and you get to know children. The concerns here are only about safety, which is what it should be. They're not saying they don't want the service, because we need the service. And Councilman's correct. If you don't keep the services here, they're going to have to take it somewhere else. We're not just providing services to children. These parents get to go work, and they bring money back into the city, and they bring grocery receipts tax. All this money goes into the banks. They buy food, groceries, gas, utilities. So it's a continuous process. But we've been at it for almost 2 decades. So the thing about this is that I'm here to support it, but you have highly qualified individuals on your commission and here with this program. And again, I wouldn't be here if it was just creative kids. They'd have to be highly qualified like these guys. I know only like 7 other programs that I would stand up for in the state. Who am I? I'm a therapist for 30 plus years, hospice work, clinical social work with special education. I do therapy with students at Mccurdy. I do therapy online. But I've been at this a long time. I worked at PED, DVR, which is PED also. I worked at DFA, so we always knew where all the funding is coming from. All I'm saying is that it's really, really something that needs to be supported. It really needs to be passed tonight. To be honest, I'm shocked we're here.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Galvin, right? Galvin. Are there any other public, okay, Mayor, sorry, you know what, I'm so sorry, I probably did not see that there.
I did that purposely.
You're hiding.
You can't see me now.
You're hiding from me. So, go ahead and state your name for the record, and I'm just a reminder, I'll start the timer.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Vanessa Godinez, I'm born and raised in the Valley, served as your reina in 2014, went to school with Justin Salazar Torres. I too was a student of Marcy Davis. And I also am here in support of, right? As Justin pointed out, we ask that you guys approve this merely because he's correct. If I don't have childcare for my child here, I work in Los Alamos, I'm taking my kid there. And they don't need the revenue, they don't need the help. We need it here. And I want my kid to be here with my gente, right? Learning my culture, with my people. And it's difficult to be able to do that. And I really applaud and appreciate the security concerns that you guys have brought up, because as a parent, that's extremely valid and so important on so many levels. But I think any parent who has been through the program in any capacity can tell you that that's not an issue. I promise you, the fencing, the sand, the transmitters, like if they haven't seen that, I promise it's really not. I go to that playground and pick up my own kid, and it takes us 10 minutes to get out of there. I've scoped it out myself, right? And the first thing that I thought, as a parent, when I found out they were moving, I was like, oh man, that's far. You know, that's really far, and it's out of my way, because in Los Alamos, I dropped him off here at the Delta, and I was on my merry way, right? State Road 30, here we come. And it was a little bit out of the way. But after talking to my husband about it, you know what? We don't have as many walkers that go out that way.
That's right.
When I would see young people that I went to school with, right, that were probably students of hers, that are wanting to stand there and charge their cell phone, where my child is, excuse my language, but hell no, right? And that was something that they battled every single day. That's not a battle they fight now, because we don't have these walkers along that more rural part of the road. And I sympathize, right, for the water table and things of that, because you know what, if our daycare runs out of water, then what, right? And I don't want it to get there. I don't want it to be where our constituents have an issue with our business sector that provide services to the community as a whole to be in there. But we want to fight with you. We don't want to fight against you. And we want to champion water issues, because that's a true issue, as you mentioned, globally. But unfortunately, what we're here for tonight is to say, can these people provide the service that we as parents and community members need to our children? And it's unfortunately weighs on your shoulders tonight to make that decision. But just know that we would be heavily impacted, and not only would you have a local business owner go out of business, but local parents that take their time and kids elsewhere, and we're already a dying culture. So it's much more important that we keep our kids here now more than ever. Thank you.
Okay, I think I saw one more, okay, if you could please state your name for the record, and I'll go ahead and start.
Hi, my name is Deborah Martinez, and I'm here in support of Creative Kids. And I'm just gonna, I'll take up the 3 minutes, but everything that Mr. Gabon said and Justin said and this young woman said, I totally support. I think Marcy has gone beyond her job qualifications or that was requested from the City Planning and Zoning Commission last year. They're accredited nationally. I think she's done more than most daycares are required to do. She has a very good reputation with the public, the community, and with the parents. And parents need to go work. They need safe daycare. She can provide that, and she has provided that. As far as the additional safety concerns, active shooting training is something that she can do maybe later on as a curriculum, but it's not a requirement. And she's met those requirements from the planning and zoning, she's met the requirements from all the other entities. And so to deny this request wouldn't even make sense. And you had some concerns about the fencing and so on and so forth, but again, she has had approval from the correct entities that says it is acceptable. So again, I think it would be a mistake if you did not approve it. The water issues, again, it's a separate concern that the city needs to address. It's not a Marcy Creative Kids concern. Although it might impact them down the road, but it's not something that they can address here tonight. So I think she needs to continue with her business. I think she needs to reassure the parents that they're going to have a daycare. And if you approve it today, you get a lot of people's minds to rest. That's it.
Thank you for those comments. So I think that's it for, one more general comment. If you could please state your name for the record.
I'm Amelia Davis Martinez, and I'm here in approval of the daycare. I'm not very experienced in talking, so excuse me if I stutter, but I was a student at the daycare for 5 years, and I have to say that I felt really safe even at the old Delta daycare, and it just made me learn more. it improved my English, it improved my talking experiences, kind of. It improved my learning, and it also helped me make a connection with things that I couldn't think I could have a connection with, like animals and plants. And I think that it's too much of, what if they dig a hole in the sand, fall in the hole? Or what if they chew on the toy and there's a sharp thing on the toy? Even though it's important, I think what also is important is the education of learning, or is the education. I'm just saying that I think it's really important to have a daycare where you can feel safe in, you can learn in, and overall you can be yourself in. And I think that this new place for the daycare is even more safe than it was before, because even walking in there, I felt secure. And I just think it's important. That's an important quality of daycares. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
My name is Jerome Romero. I just wanted to tell these people that we are not against the daycare. We support her. We really do. I haven't had a chance to meet Marcy. I see her working out there hard, backhoe and doing all sorts of other stuff. And haven't had the opportunity to approach her and help with the fence that's falling down, along the other properties. And I will one of these days. But we're on the same team. We just want the city of Espanola to see what they can do for her. That's all we're asking.
We're asking the mayor to request money from the governor from the Risk Act to shake out millions of dollars so that we can share some of that money for the people who are really in need in our valley, right?
Right.
Well, this $10 million, we could get some of that to help fix some of those things, because for the owner to have to keep putting out these amount of money, it's a lot. While this lady has $10 million to give.
So I think we have one last, are there any other, can I get a show of hands, anybody else that wants to speak? Okay, if you wanna go ahead and make your comment.
I'm Sonia Comito and I live right next to Baker and between the Romeros. And I only have to say that I've been blessed. My neighbors have been wonderful. Mercy has been wonderful too. In time of need, she was there to help. And I think we should go ahead and if you can please approve a license. We will really appreciate it. She's a great asset to the community. And like Jerome mentioned, if you can please guide us through the process of maybe doing something about the water situation, we would really appreciate it, as well as the safety of the driving. The cars just pass through at a really high speed, and that's something that I think we need to get some help with as well. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. So following our script here, it looks like the next part is for any final comments from the applicant, if you have any. Otherwise, we will go ahead and close the session for public comments.
I just want to say thank you, and again, thank the people that came out. I didn't mean to make it a super long meeting, but after the last meeting I had, I felt I needed. It was not as straightforward a process as I wanted, and I needed to bring support. And I almost thought I needed to bring an attorney. I'll be honest, based on the last time. So, but I also want to say to my neighbors that water is a concern. And if we can hook up to city utilities, that is what it should be. We are in the city limits. And we are receiving and paying those taxes. That land is in the city limits, whether it's residential or commercial, it does need to be addressed.
Well, thank you, Ms. Davis. If there's nothing else, we will go ahead and close the public hearing for comments at this time. And I will go ahead and entertain a motion from council, commissioners.
A motion to approve.
Oh, I got a
Okay,
dual.
go ahead.
You guys.
A motion
Okay.
to approve.
Okay, it looks like we've got a motion from Commissioner Chavez to approve special use permit 2022-12. Seconded, yes, I think we need to be a little bit more specific, so we're gonna go ahead and approve the special use permit 2022-12 for Marcy Davis of Creative Kids. As presented by staff for the 5-year recommendation from staff's presentation. Does that work for staff?
Yes.
Okay. And we've got a second from Commissioner Salazar. Are there any, is there any discussion on the motion on the floor?
I just want to make one last statement.
Commissioner Salazar.
Commissioner Salzar here. Do you get funding from CYFD for the to their child care services? And what standard are you at, the gold, silver, or bronze?
We're at the gold standard, we're 5-star.
All right.
And we also have a pre-K and early pre-K program, through the Department of Education.
I worked at CYFD when we developed those standards under Secretary Heather Wilson.
Yes.
So I know what that means and what you have to go to get that, so congratulations.
Alright, so no other discussion on the motion, I'll ask staff to go ahead and take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Ortiz,
In favor of the motion.
Commissioner Chavez,
In favor of the motion.
Commissioner Martinez,
In favor.
Commissioner Guen,
In favor of the motion.
Commissioner Salazar,
100% in favor.
Commissioner Chavez.
Approve the motion.
That motion was carried, it's passed unanimously.
Thank you.
So please work on the water issue.
I'm gonna go talk to them right now.
So, one last item, just following my legalese here. We are officially closing this public hearing, and any party wishing to appeal the decision made here tonight must submit a written notice to appeal within 15 calendar days. Planning and land use staff can provide assistance. Okay? So we have followed our item. Let's go ahead and take a 5-minute recess and get ready for our next presentation. Thank you.
Are you Dennis? Yes, sir. Don't you remember me? I'm Joanne. You said that, and you were talking about it. Doctor now.
Okay.
Did you start now?
Oh, he's just starting out. Okay, so at this time, we'll call the meeting back to order from recess. It is 7:34. Ooh, this is loud.
Yeah, you just cut the volume on that.
How's that?
Better.
Better? Okay. I don't know what happened there. Okay. So again, we are back in session, and our next item is a presentation from Mccurdy Ministries on the Mccurdy Ministries Master Plan. And before we, I think it looks like staff's getting folks teed up on Zoom, right? Or we have folks joining us on this for?
Everybody's on, they joined at the beginning and
Okay.
they stayed on, some of them.
So just for clarification purposes, this is strictly a presentation. There will be no formal action by this commission here tonight. We are simply hearing the presentation. And if there are any clarifying questions from the commission, that will be the extent of tonight's presentation. This is not a formal public hearing. And with that, I'll kind of tee it over to staff, who is probably has the folks from Mccurdy Ministries ready to present. Correct?
So
That is correct.
we're gonna start with the two of us here, and then we'll move to the people on Zoom.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. All right, so I'll go ahead and let Mccurdy Ministries go ahead and come to the podium. And if you could please state your name for the record, just helps with our minutes.
Can you see me out there?
Yeah.
I'm all proud of 411. So, first of all, my name is Patricia Alvarado. I'm the Executive Director at Mccurdy Ministries Community Center. We still have our corporate name of Mccurdy Schools of Northern New Mexico. We are getting ready to celebrate 110 years in the Valley in October. Fast forwarding, after many transitions and additions, we came before the commission and the city planning and zoning and the city councilors in 2017 with a master plan. So tonight we are here to share information with you folks on an amendment to that master plan, considering we have considered all of the recommendations that were made, but in the interim as well, in researching, reaching out, working with collaborative partners, agencies, nonprofits, and so on and so on, we've looked at and amended our plan, and we're here tonight to simply bring you up to date and present to you the work that we're trying to do, continue the work that was started 110 years ago. And we are no longer a K-12 school. We do have preschool, we have after-school care, we have a summer camp program, we have an on-site 35-plus-year-old on-site mental health counseling. And we offer those services completely free of charge to our neighbors, the charter school. But we also reach out and for those services that I've mentioned to anybody in the community. And so with that, I'm going to thank you so much for allowing us tonight to come before you. And unfortunately, I know it's kind of late, but we really appreciate the fact that, as you mentioned earlier, some of you are new to the commission. And so we just wanted the opportunity to give you a little bit of a historical background, but then bring you up to speed as to what we're going to propose in the near future, we hope. I'd like to introduce to you Reverend Diana Loomis, who is was our development director for many years and now is in the capacity of working in the position of our, what we call the public-private partnership, and I'll let her explain that for you.
Thank you so much for your time and for your commitment to the Espanola Valley. I want to just remind you who Mccurdy Ministries Community Center is.
Oh, can you state your name for the record? I know she introduced you.
I'm Reverend Diana Loomis.
Thank
I'm the
you.
Director of the Public-Private Partnership for Mccurdy Ministries Community Center. In our history, when we were founded, we were the only school in the Espanola Valley 110 years ago, next October 21st. As our as we grew, we became an actual school system with multiple schools that hopefully many of you attended, including Mccurdy School, which was a K-12 school. But let me tell you some of the other things that we did along the way. We started the first GED program, and then when Northern New Mexico College began to exist, that program was given to them. We started the first collegiate nursing program, which was also given to Northern New Mexico College. When we had a fire on our campus, we started the first fire department in Espanola. In addition, while we were educating all of our wonderful young people in this community, we also started the hospital. And that was then given to this community. So, and finally, in 2012, it was Mccurdy Ministries Community Center that wrote the application to open Mccurdy Charter School and gifted Mccurdy Charter School, the state of New Mexico, with more than $2 million of land and facilities for a K through 12 grade charter school operation that is free to the community. So we have a history of being a good citizen in this community and having the needs of this community at our heart. So once the charter school was open, Mccurdy Ministries Community Center, we took that as our trade name. We're still legally Mccurdy Schools of Northern New Mexico. As Ms. Alvarado mentioned, we do preschool, after school, summer camp. We do a school-based mental health counseling program, which is provided free of charge to the charter school, which is over $2 million worth of programming provided free to the charter school since it was started. We began asking the question, because you know we're a United Methodist institution, we began asking the question, what is God calling us to do in this time and place? We have an aging buildings that have been assessed by the EPA. We have a number of buildings that need to come down and a number of buildings that are past their useful life and lead paint and asbestos issues that need to be dealt with. We have a variety of different kinds of funds coming, capital outlay funds, and the New Mexico Environment Department has committed to funds to help us remove those buildings that are past their useful life. We, over the last 10 years, have participated in strategic planning with the Northern New Mexico United Way, with Los Alamos, with the National Labs, but also with the Foundation, with other child care facilities in the community. We're so glad for the work that you do, but we need more child care, and we need more services for parents, and we need family-based mental health counseling centers. And those are all things that we can do on our campus. We have a 29-acre campus, which is more than we need, okay? With buildings that are outdated that need to be updated to be used to make a better difference for this community. So, we have developed a three-phase plan. The center section of campus will be an update with several buildings coming down and a 2-story program building being built that will house virtually all of our programs. On the first floor will be programs, child care, after school care, preschool, double the size of our preschool, the summer camp program. Then on the upstairs will be family-based, a mental health counseling program with another United Methodist nonprofit that's interested in coming into our community to help provide services for families, not just for school-age kids. Project Premium, our mental health counseling program, will continue, and we will turn the old boys' dorm, add an addition onto it, put a kitchen, an industrial kitchen, and meeting space so that we can do things like provide food service for all of the independent childcare facilities and preschool facilities in the community, which they will tell you is a huge struggle. So we have thought long and hard about what God is calling us to do to impact this community. Now, another major issue is, were you aware that the average home price in Santa Fe County, where we are located in Espanola, is $760,000 now? We have also partnered with HomeWise, and Jamie Jaramillo will join in a few minutes to talk about that. HomeWise is the largest home builder in Santa Fe County. They are a nonprofit, and their aim is to help more people be able to buy homes. The northern 10 acres of our campus, we propose to sell to them, and they will be bound by the covenants and everything of the master plan, and that we develop with the city's approval, and they will develop what's called workforce housing that will be for sale. So, for instance, if you want to buy a home and the home costs HomeWise $300,000, but all you can afford is $250,000, then there will be grants that HomeWise, they'll put a lien on the house. And when you sell the house, then that lien will be paid back and will continue to develop affordable housing in our community. So we are talking about an ownership community and this is not finally decided, because this is a master plan discussion of approximately 70 new homes. Do you know how long it's been since we've had a new subdivision developed in Espanola? I believe it's over 30 years. So this is to meet a prime need in our community to keep skilled people like teachers, nurses, law enforcement, firemen, to keep them in our community and invested in the culture of our community. And the overall good for the community will be amazing. So let me just say one more thing as an introductory to why we want to do this. We've just developed a public-private partnership which includes Los Alamos National Laboratories. It includes HomeWise that I mentioned. It includes FBT Architects, who you'll see Sanjay there. It includes all of our elected representatives, our state representatives. It includes the North Central New Mexico Economic Development District. We have been meeting since the fall of 2019 on a monthly basis to plan this. So this is a well-planned, well-thought-out, and we've been cooperating with the city the entire time that we have been planning this process. I want to say to you that our representative and our Senator Jaramillo provided capital outlay funds. We are going to be going after a $15.6 million loan grant from the USDA. That would be a 55% grant because that's what the size of our community qualifies for. We will also be going after, Senator Lujan has adopted this project, and he is advocating congressionally directed spending from the Senate of the United States. And so that will provide financial support. We've also gone for an additional amount to help HomeWise purchase the land from us. And that money will go back into the budget, reducing our debt. The New Mexico Environment Department is supportive of us. We are pursuing new market tax credit financing. Enterprise Bank is also serving on our public-private partnership and is interested in being a part, as is the New Mexico Finance Authority. So the leadership of our region is joining together to help us do this. Now, I provided a one-page kind of summary of what we're doing. This was in our newsletter last November, and I wanted you just to have something in hand that you could read. It's from our perspective, which is faith-based, but I also need to introduce you to Sanjay Engineer, who at FBT Architects worked with us for many years on a pro bono basis to develop this master plan, and now has completed the phase 1 drawings and is leading us through the process to get your approval. So Sandra, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Diana. Members of the commission, good evening. Mohammed, thank you for helping us organize this presentation. I appreciate you allowing me to participate via Zoom. I trust that you can hear me clearly. If I can get a thumbs up, thank you. I would like to echo what Diana has said about the history of Mccurdy Ministries in Hispaniola. It's an incredible journey for an organization that has supported the community for so many years, and we are just privileged to be partner in this effort and be able to support the vision that has been already established. From our perspective, we are assisting in the development of the master plan. We are also assisting in creating the new 100-year character for the campus. And in the 2017, we developed a master plan that was approved by the commission. We are now requesting a minor amendment to it. The soul and the heart of the original master plan remains strong. It is the foundation of what we are doing right now. And it was purely based on a vision of creating a character of the campus that is true to northern New Mexico, and it enhances the services that the ministries want to provide moving forward. I believe you have been given a set of documents that probably give you a synopsis of our work that we have conducted from 2017 onwards. I don't know if I can share those real quick and give you the highlights in 5 minutes, or is there, Mohammed, any way we can have those pull up?
Yes, we're working on.
Yes, we're working on pulling those up.
Just take that. Share the screen. Share this.
If you can let me share my screen, that may make it easy. Well, that's great. Awesome. When we formally come to the commission for an action item, we will share the highlights of the original master plan. As Diana mentioned, this is 29 acres that you are looking at. North is to the left. Mccurdy Drive, which is a private road, kind of almost divides the property into two, the northern part and the southern part. Most of the current buildings and structures are on the southern part. On the northern part, there is the retreat center along with open space that the community uses, as well as the ministries and the school uses. the goal for our submittal is focused on the central part of this project, but this document shows some highlights of buildings that are planned to remain and buildings that are going to come down. The buildings that are historical, that have true value, as well as are in good shape overall, we are preserving those and we are going to renovate them, and they are shown in orange. The buildings that are in red are going to come down. The next drawing now creates a new campus that is going to continue to have a gateway entrance from Mccurdy Road, which currently is the location of the main access to the campus. To the immediate right on the plan is planned to be a rose garden. It's an open space right now, and it has a very historic kind of landscape that really wants to be enhanced and be preserved to make the campus inviting. McCracken.
This is the old master plan. This is not the revised master plan. Is it?
This is the revised one. This is the new one.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So and I cannot point because my pointer is not going to work. Building D, which is in the middle, is McCracken Gym, and that is a very historic structure that is truly the inspiration for developing the remaining architecture of this campus. Immediately to the left of it, the building C is Bachman Hall. That was the original school building. We want to renovate that and convert that into a retreat center and expand the retreat center by adding to that what is shown in building in the red color to the left of it. There are several buildings to the left of the Bachman Hall improvements that are going to come down, and the other building, which is shown in red, is the program building, which is going to be the new two-story facility that will support the early childhood component that is on the lower level. And Diana also mentioned about behavioral health, but also adult education that's going to be on the upper level, along with composition of administrative offices. So the focus of our approval is limited to that central portion, the two buildings. Building B is an old chapel building which was used for educational purposes. It has a great historic character, and the goal is to keep it, renovate it, make it accessible, and continue to improve the facility so that it can now have another 100 years of life on that building. The facilities to the right of the center, to the south, those are future phases. They were in our original master plan, developed as nonprofit hub. The improvements for that may evolve in the future, and when that happens, we will come back to the commission for additional requests and approval. The portion of 10 acres, which Diana was mentioning north of the Mccurdy Drive, is the housing development. What you're looking at right now is just a very early conceptual plan that was prepared in creating this vision, which is, again, an evolution of our original master plan. The housing component provides the workforce solution residential that is so much needed in the community, and also supports other aspects of the campus, including the charter school, which is fully complete and developed to the bottom of this master plan. And I think HomeWise will talk about, Jamie will talk about the housing development. Moving along, the next drawing kind of highlights a little bit about the center portion. And it shows elements such as property lines and things that are going to be critical as we actually go and come back to the commission for final approval. The overall campus of 29 acres, and I should say it was 44 acres before a lot of the portion was given to the charter school. The 29 acres have several parcels of land, and we are in the process of refining some of the lot lines as well as parcel allotments so that when the actual building permit is requested from the city, there are no issues such as the building being on a property line as you are seeing right now. Bachman Hall is existing building to the bottom right there, which is going to be renovated, and then it's going to create a plaza, which is going to be an outdoor space and event space that not only the ministries will be using, but will be open to the community, possibly for wedding events, for social events. Parking improvement will continue to be in line with the campus's original character. Few parking spaces along the main gateway, but most of the overflow parking in the backside will remain granular to keep the campus sustainable and not impacted with additional drainage burden. To the left is the program building in white, and that's showing the kind of site relationship and the circulation and plazas that are created by their locations. There is also a fully fenced playground for the pre-K component that is immediately to the southwest, actually the northwest, because north is to the left. And the entire early childhood component is protected by new fencing that you are going to see in some of the images. The next image, and I'm going to go through those quickly because those are just architectural developments of the buildings itself. The retreat center is going to have rooms renovated to the right. The green spaces are historic in nature. The original building, when it was built many, many years ago, had a history room dedicated to the campus, and we want to bring that history room back in this facility. It currently exists in another building on campus, which may come down in the future. So we will bring that history room back over here. There will be retreat rooms at that level and a new lobby space that is going to be respectful of the McCracken gym architecture that I will show in just a minute. To the left is a multi-purpose space that's going to provide opportunity for assemblies, gatherings, events, again, weddings and stuff. It is planned to accommodate about 120 to 150 people in that one space, and it opens up to the outdoor plaza for an indoor-outdoor activity. There is a new commercial kitchen that is also part of this entire lower level component to the bottom. Moving forward, the second drawing of the upper level shows additional retreat rooms for a total of about 55 occupants between the lower level and the upper level. To the right in orange are existing spaces to be renovated. To the left in red are new retreat rooms. Most of these are going to be accessible. To the right-hand side, the orange rooms, just due to the nature of them being historic, are not fully accessible, but all the new red rooms are going to be accessible. The program building, moving to the next drawing, is a separate building on campus, and the lower level will include pre-K, it will include infant care, it will also include support functions such as computer education, another multi-purpose space that will act as a dining facility for the kids, but also provide community access for after hours and events. There is an administrative control at the front door, security measures to protect the kids beyond fenced areas, and the upper level, which is the next drawing, includes adult education in the red spaces. In the yellow spaces includes all of the administrative functions of the ministries that is going to be consolidated in one space. And then the orange spaces is the health component that Diana mentioned, providing services to the community and the students. There are several images and we can go through them quickly. The next image is kind of identify. This is actually the chapel building. I should have given a heads up. The chapel building is the historic building, and it's going to be converted into an art studio and a weaving studio, which there are weaving machines already over there. And we want to kind of enhance those programs for the community as well as for the students. There will be a new elevator introduced for accessibility and ramps and stairs that provide access to a split level building, which is a little challenging in today's time. Moving forward, maintenance building that is located in the back of the campus near where the granular parking is. This building is currently located on the north side along the 10 acres that are going to be the housing part. We are planning to relocate it on the southern side of the campus. And then there are several images that show the exterior of the campus. This is the one looking at the Bachman building with the new retreat center, parking improvements along with the plaza to the right that provide the outdoor amenities for the campus as well as the community. As you are driving down Mccurdy Road, going south, you will remember the iconic McCracken Gym, which is to the left. And in respect and response to the campus's character, we want to add brick as one of the features. The use of metal roofs provide northern New Mexico character, territorial style of passive solar patios as well as canopies that provide shade. All these elements kind of create the campus's character. The next image is another eye-level image of that same building. The indoor-outdoor use is going to be very important for this campus. Activities that can occur in the event space and the plaza areas could be movie nights, can be informal conversations. The students from charter school can come and use this, as well as the early childhood students can. And to the right is the chapel building that I was referring to, and that's also a very prominent structure as you're driving down Mccurdy Drive. some of the other areas, interior areas of the campus, providing access and landscaping. And this is looking at the new program building, which is a 2-story building. Again, use of materials such as brick, metal roofs. The goal for the campus is to totally go with metal roofs on all new structures, as well as on existing structures, put on new metal roofs and move away from the low sloped roofs. Several other images, they're all part of your package as well. When we do come for our presentation, we will share with you a video that actually captures all of the items that I said in a 2-minute capsule. So with that, I end my presentation and I let Jamie add a few things in regards to the housing component.
Thank you, Sanjay. Members of the Planning Commission, thank you so much for your time. Mohammed, also echoing Sanjay's sentiments, thank you for organizing the opportunity for our P3 to present to the Commission today. My name is Jamie Hadamil and I work for HomeWise. I'm the Real Estate Development Planning Manager. And as Diana mentioned a little earlier, HomeWise is a New Mexico nonprofit organization. The mission of HomeWise is to create successful homeowners and to strengthen neighborhoods so that individuals and families can improve their long-term financial well-being and really whole quality of life. We provide services to New Mexicans that range from personalized home ownership coaching to free home buyer education and financial fitness education, real estate brokerage, down payment assistance, competitive mortgage loans and loan servicing, as well as community and real estate development services. Now, as a home builder, we have a vision, obviously, for the communities that we work in, and working really closely with FBT and Mccurdy over the last 2 years on the redevelopment of their campus, we have come up with a vision for this residential community. And I don't have pretty pictures to show you that Sanjay has prepared, but what I will tell you is that we've been working on a subdivision design for the north end of the Mccurdy campus that I've worked on with staff, with Muhammad, and with the previous planning staff as well. And really our goal for the project, our goals for this residential community is to include providing affordable housing in Española, to plan for a mix of housing types and sizes, designing for a convenient access to recreation and open space, and then of course meeting the needs of both HomeWise and the Mccurdy Ministries redevelopment efforts. Our subdivision design includes homes that range from about 1,000 square feet to 1,500 square feet. They include single family attached housing, for example, townhomes, and single family detached homes, both 1 and 2 stories. The subdivision design that we've come to so far has a 2-acre park and direct access to the acequia and walking trail next to the acequia. Related to affordability, we really don't have sale prices at this early stage in the process, but what I will say is that depending on the cost of construction, HomeWise always attempts to make at least 40% of the units in our communities affordable, in every community that we build. And really our intent with the master plan amendment is to, 1, get a variance to the lot dimension standards to the typical city code, and number 2, to make a commitment to the schematic level of design of the subdivision. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation. And I believe we have set aside some time for any questions.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for your presentations. just to confirm with staff, we're okay to go ahead and entertain questions, clarifying questions on their presentation at this point.
Yes.
No action is being considered at this time. Do any commissioners have any questions for the presenters tonight? Commissioner Chavez.
Jamie, what do you mean 40% are affordable? What's the price range? What does the affordable mean in the Espanola Valley?
Good question. So the way that we define affordable is under 120% area median income, and that area median income changes based on the year. So at this time, I don't have that data in front of me, but that's what we typically define as affordable.
Okay, no price range you said at this point.
Right.
Okay.
No further questions? Any other commissioners have questions for any of the presenters tonight? Okay. Oh, we have
How many homes do you
Commissioner
plan to build, Jamie? Is there
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, Commissioner?
Yeah, how many homes do you anticipate?
That's another great question. So something that we have tried to do with the subdivision design is to take some creative liberties and intensify the size and density of the homes. So in our current design, we have 70 homes proposed, but that will include townhomes that don't currently meet the city code. So again, to answer your question directly, right now our subdivision design includes 70 homes.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Sure, go ahead. Please say your name it's for the record,
I'm Diana Loomis from Mccurdy. I just want to make clear, while we're in the city, we are not on city water, which is a requirement of the earlier approval of the master plan. And there are some of the utilities that are, so really the land that HomeWise is developing is unimproved land. So that's important to keep in mind. And HomeWise and Mccurdy are working together to come up with more and more grants and funds to lower the price of the housing. We've been working together for a number of years over that issue, and I can tell you that HomeWise is extremely highly respected and very much appreciated in northern New Mexico, and actually around the country.
Okay, well, I had a couple questions, and it's really mostly timeline, and I know, I think all of the information in the packet was really neat to see. All of the details on the schematics was very nice. Sorry, Commissioner Ortiz, I forgot to say it at the beginning for the transcription. I did want to see, because I may have missed it, but what's the timeline? I know we're talking phase one. I know there's different, just ballpark kind of my estimate of what we're looking at to see some of this formalized.
So I think our board is looking at coming back to the planning commission in September for approval or early fall. Is that right still, Sanjay?
Sanjay's muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Yes, our goal is to actually submit the amendment and come to you as soon as possible within the next month. We have debated about doing a combined submittal for the 10-acre housing as well as the central portion of the Mccurdy, but there may be a reason for us to actually just come with the Mccurdy portion of the project, as Jamie may need some more time to develop further details of the housing component. And I also want to add one more thing, Diana, that we have both the housing part as well as the Mccurdy part, we have worked with the city's Public Works Department and your engineers to make sure and coordinate all of the infrastructure work, which is also in your package, by the way. Those drawings in the initial design and concept phase have already been developed, and they have been reviewed by the Public Works and approved by the Public Works. So we are doing our due diligence to make sure that any aspect of this development is supported by adequate capacity and infrastructure that currently exists with the city.
So in terms of timeline, this fall, the application will go into USDA for the financing. And by the way, not only is 55% of that a grant, but the remainder can be a 40-year, no-interest amortized loan. And that's just, the 15.6 million is just what our estimate was 6 months ago and what this project will cost. And you know what's been happening with construction prices and costs. So then I will be having discussions with the New Mexico Environment Department because they have set aside funding to help us do the demolition, do the remediation of the buildings that need to come down and the demolition, which for us that it decreases costs because we're insuring those buildings that cannot be used now and are sitting empty. And there are also some utility costs. And they're also an attraction to nuisance, which is not good for the community. So we're hoping that between the funds, the capital outlay funds, and what the New Mexico Environment Department does with us, and some additional EPA funding that they have let us know about, that by winter we will be in remediation and demolition. And the funding that Senator Lujan is working on through to make sure that we get the USDA funding would be for the 2023 fiscal year. But that gives us time to continue to do the next phase of drawings with FBT to coordinate with HomeWise. HomeWise financing issues, they're a very well-funded nonprofit. So maybe I could let Jamie speak to that issue for HomeWise.
I'm happy to answer any questions, but I have nothing more to say on the financing. What I will say is that it is our intent to submit with FBT for the master plan amendment. I think it makes a lot of sense from a planning perspective to keep both of those applications together. But HomeWise does have some concerns related to really the master plan legality. And I wonder, Muhammad and Vice Chair Ortiz, if you might entertain some questions related to the master plan.
I'll defer to staff. At this point, are we good at entertaining back and forth, or is this strictly presentation, I think?
I think we can entertain the questions, but I mean, if there are technical questions, there probably would be.
More for staff?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Is the commission okay with that? Letting them go down that detailed back and forth technical questions between yourselves and the department staffing. So that was the only question I had. It doesn't look like there's any other commissioners with questions. I just was curious about the timeline, time frame, kind of when we'll see things happening down the road and when it's coming back to us. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, FBT and HomeWise for your information. Yes. What was your question, Commissioner?
Commissioner Salazar, I just have a question. You mentioned Senator Ben Ray Lujan is assisting me. Have you approached U.S. Representative Teresa Lecher Fernandez about participating in providing some sort of assistance to you?
when you put an application in one, it goes to all the offices and they know what we're doing. The senator is working through the Senate Finance, Appropriations Committee. But I have, I'm going to reach out to her office. I've got a contact there to just bring her on board as to what we're doing. She has a strong relationship with HomeWise. So.
Great, okay, so looks like we're good here. It looks like we do have a public comment, I just wanna make sure.
Are you entertaining questions from the public? I have two questions. They're very specific and they're for Jamie.
Okay.
Is that packet that you all are looking at to
Can you
ask?
state
is it
your name?
available?
Yeah, can you say your name for the record?
I'm
Thank you.
Susan Baker Roybal. I'm a Mccurdy area resident. Is the packet that is being presented today, is that available to the public at a website or somewhere?
It's on our city
I'll defer to
website,
staff,
I'll give you the path.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is that Jamie Jaramillo mentioned that the affordable housing is considered 120% of area median income, which you don't have. But where is area median income? What data source is that derived from?
Area median income is derived from census data, and it's based on a county level. So this portion of the city of Espanola is actually located in Santa Fe County and would be based on Santa Fe County's area median income.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, okay, we'll go ahead and state your name for the record.
Okay, Mark Hudson, I'm also a resident in the area. And I've been listening to this presentation, but I have heard nothing about the impact on the surrounding neighborhoods or the impact on the existing infrastructure. The water system you're talking about adding perhaps as many as 280 people if we go by 70 homes times an average of 4 people per home.
So because this is strictly a presentation, it's not necessarily official public hearing where we entertain back and forth questions. I understand you were looking for more information, so it was like, where do I find this packet? Conversations back and forth, technical questions, we'll definitely have to have those formal public hearings for that engagement, but at this point today, it's strictly just to hear the presentation from the Mccurdy Ministries to get their update on their plan.
Okay.
So thank you. So I think at this point we'll go ahead and thank you for your presentation, and we'll look forward to getting an update. It sounds like in September. All right.
And perhaps you can save your questions for September and
Yes,
come back.
yes.
Yes,
Thank you. So we do have a little bit more business that we need to take care of as a commission really quick. So the next item is old business. We do have the June 23rd, 2022 meeting approval of final decisions. I believe we do need to go, we cannot do like a consent approval, we've got to do these one by one, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So I'll go ahead and just one by one entertain a motion for approval. Before I do that, I did want to mention that unfortunately, since I was not in attendance on the 23rd and I have not seen the minutes for the meeting of the 23rd, I don't feel like I can vote, so I'm gonna abstain.
Okay.
Just because I was not at the meeting to formally know what the action was taken. But I'll entertain a motion for case number 2022-10.
Madam Chair, requesting back of the package, you'll have a listing of each one of those.
Correct, yes, thank you, Commissioner Salzer, but I'm looking at what's there, but I can compare it against the minutes, yeah, thank you. So do I hear a motion to approve the final decision for case number 2022?
Motion to approve.
Okay, sure. Commissioner Gwen has motioned, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the final decision for case 2022-10. And staff can please call the roll.
Commissioner Chavez,
Motion approved.
Commissioner Martinez,
Approved.
Commissioner Salazar,
Approved.
Commissioner Gwynn,
Approved.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Abstain.
That motion was carried and is passed.
Next item is case number 2022-11, approval of final decision. Do I have a motion to approve that item?
I motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
got it. If I could have staff call roll.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Abstain.
Commissioner Martinez,
Approved.
Commissioner Chavez,
Motion to approve.
it would be in
Approved.
favor.
In favor, sorry.
Commissioner Salazar,
Approved.
Commissioner Gwynn,
In favor.
that decision is passed.
All right, next item, approval of final decision for case number 2022-13. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Guillen
I'll second.
and a second from Commissioner Chavez.
There was a, Commissioner Chair, there was a question asked, that, for this one about, I guess there's a sewage line that was done inappropriately to that. Have you
Yes.
investigated that and how did it come up?
That we have discussed with them, that we have checked, and it was illegal, and that's not a city sewer line.
Oh.
Okay. So it was just an individual that ran a
Yes.
line.
But they have to make this in the civil matter, we cannot interfere.
All right, and no further discussion on this item, okay? If staff can call the roll.
Commissioner Chavez,
Approved.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Abstain.
Commissioner Martinez,
Approved.
Commissioner Salazar,
Approved.
Commissioner Gwynn.
Approved.
Thank you, that motion was carried.
All right, next item, approval of final decision for case number 2022-14. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Gwen. Do I have a second? All right, motion fails for lack of a second, I guess. Nobody,
Second.
okay. We'll have Commissioner Martinez second.
Before we take the vote, Ms. Chair.
Yes, would you,
The
discussion, comment, yeah?
I abstain from this vote and this, can I continue my abstain on this vote?
I don't think we'll have enough.
On which,
On this matter right here that we're addressing?
Oh, this is Commissioner Ortiz, this is similar to what happened with where I live, right? Where I abstained from
Right,
approving it because it was tied to me.
but I abstained because I did not agree with
the vote.
no, so that's
But
a different matter.
That's a
Right,
different
yeah, I
matter,
think this is
okay.
just administrative.
Okay, so
We're
I'm just trying to
approving
figure
the
out.
final note.
Yeah, they will be there.
Just the notes, okay, that's all I need to know.
Okay,
Okay,
Alright.
thank you, just for clarification.
Yeah, I'm
Alright.
glad you did too. That was
Thank you.
good.
okay, so we do have a motion and a second to approve case 2022-14. If you could call the roll.
Then Commissioner Chavez,
Approved.
Commissioner Martinez, approved. Commissioner Salazar,
Approved.
Commissioner Gwynn,
Approved.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Abstain.
Thank you, that motion was passed.
Alright, moving right along, matters from staff, are there anything we need to bring up?
There are two things I just wanted to
Okay.
discuss. Madam Vice Chair and honorable member of the Planning Commission, There are two things I just wanted to discuss. There was a public comment, I believe in May, about a property that one of the resident at Barbie Street had a public comment about somebody encroaching on the street. I think their name was Mr. Valdez. We checked in the matter.
Yes.
I went to the property. We called both the residents separately. We discussed this matter. Code enforcement was there a few times. Since this is a very old neighborhood, and there were no previous surveys done, so the only thing that we could do, we called for their deeds, and we looked into there and see there was an easement of 20 feet. And when we went there with our view, it was 20 feet of clearance, so that matter was resolved. So just to give you an update on that, that matter was resolved. There is a clearance, so that's not nuisance. The person is just growing the plants out there. And although I just wanted to mention for the record that a house that is there that does not meet our code standard, but because it's there for 50, 60 years, that's grandfathered in. So we cannot do anything on that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mom.
And the second thing is that we have been working on a minor subdivision ordinance. So we are now classifying the subdivision of the land within the city into two groups, the major subdivision and a minor subdivision. And we have drafted that initial subdivision ordinance, and that will be coming up to you in our discussion workshop. And we'll organize and we'll send you, and if you have any questions on that, and if there's anything that you want us to look up into this in terms of our zoning or something, we'll be happy to entertain and to happy to assist.
What's the difference between minor and major?
So minor subdivision will be up to 5 lots, and the major subdivision will be 5 and over, and they will have different standards and different requirements.
Okay.
5 and over, or is it 6 and over?
5, maximum to 5. If it would be 6, that would be a major subdivision.
Okay, thank you.
And the whole purpose of this is that sometimes we see that there are pockets that are vacant, and developers, the bigger developers don't come to develop those lots because there's not a return on investment, bigger return on investment for developing just a few lots. So that's where we're bringing up, relaxing some of the requirements so that it's more to boost the development within the state.
So I have another question. She mentioned that townhomes were not part of the city ordinance and they were having to change some of their view about that. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, the smallest lot size within the city, that's R6, urban residential R6. It's 7,500 square feet. And she was mentioning 1,000 square feet and 1,500 square feet. So that is not allowed within the city limits.
Right. Would your subdivision ordinance have ability to change that?
No. We're just discussing the subdivision of land that comes under the zoning.
Okay.
We're not touching the zoning requirements, the zoning sites.
Commissioner Johnson.
Mohammed, yeah, just a question for you in regards to that case, 2022-11 in regards to this illegal sewer line going through the property. So if it's illegal, why can't the city get involved in that?
City could get involved in this. We've been working with the sewer, and the ultimate thing that parcel is undevelopable because of its location, because how it is. Even then, if it's removed, they have to come back to get it rezoned. That's a commercial property. They were misguided.
But as far as the illegal line,
that should be removed. They could bring a commercial development there, but we have to look at see if it's safer for the neighborhood. This is a very old part of the neighborhood, which the development on that particular parcel has to be very carefully done to have a safer traffic there, to have more, I would say, it would be best in terms of, it would be in best favor of the community to not develop that lot.
so is there any fines for an individual that does something like that?
Yes.
Have you talked to that individual or
We have,
communicated with him?
we haven't had conversation with that individual yet. We're working with our own wastewater department to gather information on it, so that before we go to them, we have our homework done.
Okay.
Just, I think probably maybe bring an update on, just like you did on the public comment for May, bring an update for maybe the next. After you, staff has gone through that, I think we would all appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for staff? Anything else, Mr. Hussein?
That's it for me today.
Alright.
But if there's anything that you want us to work on or look into the matter, would be happy to assist, but just wanted to give you another update that we are looking on to some of major discussing and Mr.
Oh, just another question, sorry. So the individuals that were here today were very concerned about the water lines passing through. Is there a way that the city council, Justin was here, he could follow up on that? I mean, if those lines run.
You talked to them outside?
Yeah, but I mean, they've been asking for many years, so I kinda want, is anything really truly being done, or we're kicking the can down the road again?
City has infrastructure plans and city is cash-starved. My understanding, I could be totally wrong, but city is working on it. I got a request from our department to work on some of the infrastructure plans. So I cannot speak on behalf of the Public Works Department, but if they have any questions or any queries on that, they're welcome to go to the city council and address the same issue. And they would be happy to assist them better for the initiative of the development.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were told that, to go before the city council out there.
Or at least the
or
Public
Justin
Works
did that.
Department, I mean, the Public Works Committee.
I mean, cash is always an issue everywhere.
And just for your information, this person, I think it's Dr. Romero, he has been in front of the planning commission before and the city council as well.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Salazar.
Thank you. One of the things that's going on the federal level, they did approve some funding for infrastructure. I don't know if the city, you're saying they're cash strapped, have any grants been submitted to the federal government or made requests to our representatives to help us in getting some funding so we can complete a project like this?
I think that's more Public Works Department. Am I speaking out of line, Mohammed? I think that's.
Just Mr.
But it could be brought up to their attention.
Yeah.
I think yes, they are looking into it. The infrastructure bill is actually focused for the renewal of the infrastructure lines, the water lines and cold water lines, and I think that's what the city's goal is. But I cannot speak on particular requests and the timeline of the request, but I think that's the goal of the planning department as well as the utilities department and public works too. Get that funding and replace the much needed infrastructure within the city.
Well, can I make one more? Last night they had the other commission.
The economic development group, right?
Maybe we could bring it to their attention, to bring it to the council or to the mayor or to whomever. I happen to share a home with a person that's on the commission, maybe I can bring it to her attention.
Yes, Commissioner Chavez.
I know they did a fantastic job in Mccurdy, building all these homes, infrastructure, updating it. But it's in Santa Fe County. I think one of our other commissioners had mentioned something like, I guess, the taxes somehow go to Santa Fe instead of Espanola. I'm not sure all the logistics, but do we really benefit a whole lot from that Santa Fe County? So they get the property taxes, they get everything else.
No, we get the share.
We share?
The
I think
city
it was
gets
brought
a
up
share.
that they're not sharing.
Right.
That's what I was told by one of the officials.
Well, then
I
that
can double
goes
check
to
with
our
the finance department, but I think they do share.
I can tell, Commissioner Ortiz, I can just tell you that for Espanola, well, Riobamba County specifically has it broken up to, City of Espanola, Riobamba, City of Espanola, Santa Fe. So they should be segregated out when you get the tax. I just know this from dealing from my job. They should have it allotted now. What should be being done and what is happening, I don't know the details of their finances, but.
As far as gross receipts taxes go, I live in Santa Fe County. And so I have to pay Santa Fe County, the city of Espanola tax, which is much higher.
Yeah.
Than Muriba City of Espanola.
Yeah.
And I work in
Yeah, so
taxation.
it's separated, but the behind the scenes details, I'm not sure how that all like
Just a question.
trickles down, but it is segregated out.
And Commissioner, I did work at Tax and Revenue, Property Division does do that, they do those allotments. And like you talked about gross receipts, they allot them in the
Different, yeah.
Plus my property taxes are double.
Right.
Thank you. Taxes.
I do have one
Oh,
more,
yes, Commissioner, yeah.
comment, and it's going.
When, I know, I
Like
keep
when,
saying
she
that.
said my name 3 different times tonight.
I know.
3
Me
different
too.
ways. Anyway, about code enforcement, and I had sent you an email regarding one specific neighborhood where there's lots of people living in the cars on the city property, the city water tank. There's a homeless person that's been living there close to 2 years in her car. She moves during the day, so I don't know if she works, but at night she spends the night in the city property. And also, so code enforcement, I don't know how they deal with things like that, but you know, along that certain street, there are 2 motorhomes, people living on the street in the motorhomes. So I guess my concern is, you know, is code enforcement going through the neighborhoods and saying, you know, what's going on?
So, sometimes they're part of the app. So we do address this as well. If they're after hours, as we mentioned, that she sits in the car, it's difficult to address when they're not there.
Yeah.
So, but we have one code enforcement officer, and it's difficult to go to each street.
I think we're hiring a
frequent.
second person.
Unfortunately, I don't think we received funding for the second code enforcement, but we are doing our best to educate our residents of City of Espanola.
Okay.
I am working on some sort of campaign through social media and through some other avenues to let them know that this is our value and we should be responsible and we're the one who need to take care of this.
Let me tell you, if you're sending notices in the utility bills, we do not open the utility bills. We just pay them. So I never look at what comes in the utility bill. I look at the amount and I throw it away. I pay it. So that's not working if we're sending it out through utility.
The other thing is that we're gonna take an account of the social media.
Okay.
To put some videos with some of our interns and some other stuff. So we've got some audio equipment that we're gonna use to just be more creative and some fun things.
Your students can probably help you with that because they're all about social media.
Yeah, but when it comes to the content, what
No,
goes,
yeah.
that's
Ideas.
Ideas,
Give you ideas about how you can do it.
I wish City was on Snapchat because they're really into Snapchat.
I'll send my 10-year-old grandson.
So I mean, I'm just concerned about that because I mean, a lot of the homeless people that are here are not from here.
Yeah.
They come in, I see them come in on the buses or they come in on vans, and I've seen it 3 times now. They bring them in vans in the mornings, and they're out in town, they're panhandling, and then in the evenings, sometimes they'll get in the van, and they leave. So a lot of the people are not from Espanola, and which is, you know, really giving us a bad reputation.
So just to add on to this, there is another initiative against panhandling.
Okay.
And we are requesting a sign for not to have panhandlers on the street and intersections. And we're in conversation with NMDOT, the city council, and the city manager, and that's coming soon.
It's dangerous for
them. With them. What is the solution? I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, when it's
ACLU will not allow us to
not allow them.
or not allow us to stop them from panhandling. They filed a lawsuit against an ordinance that we have,
Yeah.
and the city lost. So
I remember
it's
that, yes.
something, but one of the things that the city can do is, a lot of the panhandling is happening on state property. The city should address this to the state and say, we're gonna bring a lawsuit against the state because you're allowing that to happen on your.
Yeah, like the skinny medians, like they're
Exactly.
gonna fall off and I'm gonna run them over.
There was a guy asleep on, standing up on the median yesterday.
Yeah, and some of them are skinny, they're like, I don't even know how they sit on there.
I know, hour after hour.
But
I
anyhow.
feel bad for-
Alright.
Um,
Thank you all for your time, thank you for all your hard work.
Yes,
Yes,
thank
Mom.
you.
Commission.
Matters from the commission, we kind of sort of already delved into that one already, right?
What, we have a work session coming up.
Next session is when?
27th, I believe, or 28th?
Yeah, 14th to 28th, so it'll be
Yes.
28th.
What are we gonna be addressing, or what is planned to be addressed?
So the minor subdivision order.
My understanding is the subdivision ordinance.
Okay.
So I did ask, and I'll let Mohammed talk more if he wants to, but I did ask him to send the subdivision, like resend the subdivision information for us to kind of eyeball it as we get ready for the work session, but that's one of the topics for the next agenda.
For sure, I will send it to you in a Word document, but just for your information, we're not touching the major subdivision for now, but we will come back and address that later, but
We're looking
just,
at minor, correct?
we're introducing that whole new subdivision ordinance, that will be a minor subdivision.
July
27th.
20th, the 28th, the
Oh,
28th, right, July 28th.
The Thursday, I think it's 27 or 28.
Okay.
When are we gonna be addressing issues in these documents?
What issues?
Well, I still have a concern, one of my biggest concern is the DRT reviews, that really bothers me. And I think we need to address it at some time,
Sure
as to
thing.
what information we get from each of the departments, rather than all of them writing, we need water meters or sewer meters. What is the police and fire department, they should be addressing, do they have, fire department, do they have extinguishers, alarms?
Yeah, Mr.
Whatever.
Sorry. May I just reflect something on, so if they don't have concern, they just reiterate some other concerns that other departments have, that we don't have any concern, but this is what others share. But I think we will be more effective on this, to address this issue to development routine, to have more concrete and more I reiterate their opinion about.
One of the things I'd like to see in the fire department reports is how far is the nearest fire hydrant?
Exactly.
How many miles are they from the fire station? I mean, that would be really helpful.
Yes, that's
more in-depth information.
Yeah.
We
Not
can
just
definitely
notions.
address this, and that actually the fire hydrant, that are some of the state standards, the city standards. So the only thing is that something that most is that we have the proximity and that reaction time. And the reaction time to any emergency and those standards are the cities and the states and the federal standards. The thing is, if you have those equipment, if you have that reaction timeline, if you cannot access that, that's the trouble.
Right.
So that's why they more focus on the easement access.
Yeah, they want the access more so than.
And then when the buildings are constructed, that's when the fire standards are implemented. And how
That's
far.
part of the permitting.
Exactly. So
Kind of
that's.
review checklist.
That's the checklist of how far the building is from the fire hydrant. And the use comes later because that's discussed in different.
Okay.
Well, if there's nothing else from matters from the commission, I think we're adjourned.
Thank you so much for
Is
your.
that a question or a?
Right?
We're adjourned.
Adjourn, go home and
We're
enjoy
adjourned.
the rest of the evening. Thank you.
So there, how are you doing?
Wonderful.
That's good. That's the energy that we need.
I got